Hi, in today's video, we are going to discuss the canonization by John Donne. True love raises you to the stature of a saint, says John Donne in his poem The Canonization, which is celebrated as the best specimen of the use of paradox in poetry by the new critics like Cleanth Brooks. It was first published in 1633. The poem is written from the perspective of a middle aged man who is blinded by love. Addressing a friend who seems to be skeptical of his love affair, he makes a witty argument that transcends time and can suffice the course of true love even today. The poem is divided into 5 stanzas. If you take an overview of the poem, it goes something like this. In the first stanza, the lover tells his friend it is useless to keep criticizing his love affair and asks him to mind his own business. If you move on to the second stanza, the speaker points out how harmless his love for his beloved is. Their relationship has not caused any trouble to the society. In the third stanza, the speaker states that the power of their love has made them share us all. They have literally turned into one. This actually reminds us of Catherine's remark about Heathcliff in the novel Wuthering Heights. She says, "He is more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same." Moving on. In the fourth stanza, the speaker is of the strong conviction that if they can't live for love, they can definitely die protecting its cause. He also adds that their humble love story may not make it to the annals of history, into the historical works, but can definitely live forever through poetry. So he considers poetry to be the best monument for a love story. And in the final stanza, the speaker considers him and his beloved to be raised to the position of saints because of their devotion towards their relationship. They have renounced the world, dedicating themselves to each other. So they think tomorrow the world might come to them, to pray to them, to get a love story which is as good as theirs. So now if you take a look at the detailed analysis of the stanzas, see in the first stanza goes on like this. For God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love. Or chide my palsy or my gout, my 5 grey hairs, or ruined fortune flout. With wealth your state, your mind with arts improve. Take your course, get your place, observe his honor or his grace, or the king's real or his stamped face. Contemplate what you will approve, so you will let me love. So as we said earlier, the poem is written from the perspective of a middle-aged man. So we know that the person is in his middle ages from how he mentions his shaky hands, his sore joints and grey hairs. So he is addressing his friend who is evidently mocking his love affair which has bloomed in a later stage of his life. The speaker seems to be quite straightforward. He comes straight to the point. He asks his friend to stop bothering him and mind his own business. So as you see in the first line, for God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love. But he adds that you may mock me for my condition. See, I have turned an old man. You see the grey hairs, and I have a palsy or shaky hands, and you see the gout, my sore joints, and I also have a spoiled fortune. I haven't made a lot of wealth in my life. So you may continue mocking me for all this, but there is no point in criticizing me for falling in love at this age. The speaker adds that you are supposed to focus on your own improvement, your own development. Go enroll yourself in a new course, learn something, get a new job, get placed in the army, go serve a clergyman, go serve the king in the court, or you start a new trade or a business so that you can earn a lot of wealth. So you may worship the stamped face of the king on the coins, which simply means go earn a lot of wealth. So you are supposed to focus on things that will do you good, so that you can spare us and let us continue loving each other. So we move on to the second stanza. Alas, alas, who was injured by my love? What merchants' ships have my sighs drowned? Who says my tears have overflowed his ground? When did my colds a forward spring remove? When did the heats which my veins fill add one more to the plaguy bill? Soldiers find wars, and lawyers find out still litigious men, which quarrels move, though she and I do love. So in the second stanza, the poet is literally mocking the tradition of Elizabethan poetry, which compares a lover's sighs to tempests, a lover's tears to floods. So the speaker points out how harmless his love relationship is. It has caused no harm to the society. Everything remains the same. See, even armies fight battles, the lawyers have enough cases to make a living. His sighs have not drowned any of the ships. His tears did not flood anyone's ground. He did not cause a plague attack. He did not stop the spring from coming to his country. So he says that his love affair is his personal matter. It has not interfered in anyone's public life, which means it is his way of asking the society to stay away from judging his love affair with his beloved. So, yes, we continue to the third stanza. Call us what you will. We are made such by love. Call her one, and me another, fly. We are tapers too, and at our own cost die. We in us find eagle and the dove. The phoenix riddle hath more wit by us. We two being one are it. So to one neutral thing we both sexes fit. We die and rise the same and prove mysterious by this love. The use of pun in this stanza is very noteworthy. See, in the Elizabethan tradition, to die is a euphemism used for orgasm in sexual consummation. So here the speaker says that he and his beloved, they are going to turn into one. They are going to turn into one neutral being, both physically and spiritually, after their consummation. And we can also see the use of numerous metaphors in this stanza. See, the poet is comparing the lovers to flies. Both flies and lovers, they die, they burn because of their passion. He also considers them to be tapers or candles. Both candles and the lovers, they melt out of their passion. And you also see the phoenix symbol here. The lovers are considered to be like the phoenix, which burns itself and then rises out of its ashes. So this phoenix symbol actually can be considered as a Catholic symbol too. See, just as how Jesus resurrects after death for purging the sins of his devotees, just like that, the lovers are going to rise out of their passion for the cause of true love. Now, moving on to the fourth stanza, we can die by it, if not, live by love. And if unfit for tombs and hearse, our legend be, it will be fit for verse. And if no piece of chronicle we prove, we will build in sonnets pretty rooms. As well a well wrought urn becomes the greatest ashes as half-acre tombs, and by these hymns all shall approve us canonized for love. So here comes the metaphysical conceit of the poem, in which the lovers are being compared to saints. See, because of their devotion, because of their dedication towards their true relationship, they are going to be raised to the stature of saints. Being blindly in love, they have renounced the world, just like how the saints renounce the physical world and raise them to the realm of a spiritual realization, a self-realization. So through love, the lovers are going to raise themselves to the status of saints, says the poet. He also adds another conceit here, another extended metaphor here. He considers poetry to be the best monument for a love story. He says their humble love story may not find its room in the historical works, in the historical annals or chronicles, but it is definitely going to find a place in the pretty rooms of sonnets or poetry. So through poetry, they are going to be immortal. They are going to raise themselves to the stature of immortality through poetry, says the poet. And finally, in the last stanza, and thus invoke us, you whom reverent love made one another's hermitage, you to whom love was peace that now is rage, who did the whole world's soul contract and drove into the glasses of your eyes, so made such mirrors and such spice that they did all to you epitomize. Countries, towns, courts beg from above a pattern of your love. So he is of the strong conviction that once they are raised to the position of saints, the world is going to come to them, asking them to pray for them, so that everyone else in the world is going to get a good love relationship, just as how they were fortunate enough to have a devoted, dedicated relationship with each other. And he also thinks that they have literally forgotten, they have renounced the world. When they look at each other's eyes, they forget the world. So thus they have confined in each other. They consider each other to be one another's hermitage, only solace for each other. So this has definitely raised them to the stature of a saint, and because of their saintly powers, the world is going to come to them, asking them to pray for them. So this is how the poem ends. So this breaks free the idea that love is a fleeting fancy between two young people, and it raises it to a holy stature. The poet considers love to be a holy emotion that purges our soul and brings us self-realization. The poet considers love and poetry to be immortal. Poetry is the best medium for telling a love story, and love poems remain eternal, says the speaker. So now let's take a look at the use of poetic devices in this poem. So as we know, in metaphysical poetry of the 17th century, the use of metaphysical conceits or extended metaphors is significant. So what is a metaphysical conceit? If you take a look at the glossary of literary terms, it says the metaphysical conceit is a characteristic figure in the work of John Donne and other metaphysical poets of the 17th century. It is described by Samuel Johnson in a famed passage in his Life of Cowley as wit, which is a kind of discordia concourse, a combination of dissimilar images or discovery of occult resemblances in which things apparently unlike. The most heterogeneous ideas are yoked by violence together. Most oft quoted uh, quotation about metaphysical conceit is the most heterogeneous ideas are yoked by violence together. So, yeah, one of the best examples of a metaphysical conceit is Donne's comparison of the parting lovers, the souls of the parting lovers to the legs of a draftsman's compass. So, as we saw in canonization, the lovers are being compared to saints. True lovers, like the speaker and his beloved, they are canonized by their love. That is, they are made into the Catholic saints. Love, this poem argues, has an awful lot in common with Catholicism. Love and sex makes two separate people into one, in such a way that God is said to become a part of every soul. Love can also make people immortal, allowing them to die and then resurrect like a phoenix or like Christ himself. Then the poet also says that poetry is the best monument for love, which will become a site of holy pilgrimage. And we also mentioned the use of pun. The use of pun is central to the witty, argumentative tone of the poem, The Canonization. It is acting as a bridge between the physical, the profane, love, and the spiritual or sacred aspects of love. The poem uses puns to mock the conventional Petrarchan love poetry while elevating the speaker's own passionate, intense relationship to the level of sainthood. See, as we saw, the most significant pun in the poem is die, which in Renaissance literature which in Renaissance literature was a common euphemism for sexual orgasm. In the third stanza, the speaker claims that because the lovers die or achieve the climax and rise, reawaken, they possess a miraculous power similar to saints. This pun allows the poem to equate sexual consummation to spiritual resurrection. Then the use of metaphor, you saw how the poet compares the lovers to flies, then candles, which both die for passion, and also phoenix, the symbol of phoenix, which bursts itself into flames, then rises from its ashes. Similarly, the lovers, they die for their passion and rise out of their passion. Then, okay, the use of rhetorical questions. See, it is a significant poetic device used in the second stanza. You saw numerous rhetorical questions like, what merchant ships have my sighs drowned? Who says my tears have overflowed his ground? When did my coals a forward spring remove? When did the heat which my veins fell add one more to the plaguey bill? So, such rhetorical questions add to the effect created by the poem. So, yeah, as I said earlier, the canonization is considered to be one of the best examples of metaphysical poetry, and new critics like Cleanth Brooks has made a detailed study of the use of paradox in the poetry. See, the poet is comparing profane physical love to the spiritual realm, that the lovers are being compared to saints, which appears paradoxical. But when you make a closer analysis of the poem, we understand that through their love story, through their devotion for each other, the lovers are actually renouncing the exterior world, the world around them, just as how saints renounce the physical world. So, in this manner, Cleanth Brooks argues that the poem, The Canonization, acts as one of the best examples of paradox in poetry. So I hope this discussion helps you with your preparation. This will act as a good introduction to the poem. So stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much for listening. Please take care. Bye. Thank you.